MSB here, and it's time for another Hex 10-minute draft. So, let's get started. Today's draft started with a classic rare drafting choice, the Ancestors Chosen versus a Hellhound. The Hellhound is definitely more of a bomb, but the Ancestors Chosen is no slouch, and can win games just by sitting on the field. I choose the Chosen, both for its low resource cost and ease to splash, as well as its potential resale value. The next pack is bereft of the rare, but gives me some nice options between the Chimera Guard Outrider, Flock of Seagulls, and Burn. I go with the Chimera Guard, as it's the strongest offensive card which can become godly with buffs, Diamond Specialty. The next choice gives me another set of shard options, Sapphire's Thunderbird, Diamond's Heroic Presence, and Wild's Boulder Brute. I don't feel like risking 3 shards or branching into Wild yet, so the Brute is out, and since I definitely want to use my Ancestors Chosen, I take the Thunderbird, both as a solid flyer as well as to signal Sapphire is closed. Soon after, I have to decide between an Inner Piece and another Thunderbird. While the second T-Bird is alluring, as it can strengthen my Sapphire picks, as well as finish matches if my opponent has no flyers, it also could start to push me into a low toughness deck that would be very vulnerable to blood cards and flying blockers. So I go with the Inner Piece as it's a good quasi-removal option. It's important to note, at this stage, the Inner Piece has cycled past half of the other drafters, which is a major signal that Diamond is open. I then grab an Angelic Ascension, which can be a tolerable combat trick. And then if I had any concerns about Diamond being open, they would be immediately crushed as a Repel nearly wheels into my hands. I also make sure to pick up the Quicksilver Strider over the Time Ripple, as it's likely I'll be able to pick up Diamond buffing cards like the Noble Citizenry to make the Strider a beast, and the Time Ripple, while situationally good, normally only translates into a tempo swing. The next pack nets me an early game bomb in the Protectorate Defender. If this troop gets in a couple of attacks with the Prime Diamond of Solidarity gem, you can close out a game very early. While it screws up my threshold plans of early game Sapphire and mid to late game Diamond, it's too good to pass up. I then manage to land a Noble Citizenry, a fantastic Diamond troop, as long as you can keep something on the board, proving that all the signaling I did to the player on my left that Diamond was closed paid off, as he has now passed this card to me. To make sure I still have Sapphire options, I then take a Buccaneer, which can really help you if you face off against a Ruby Rush deck or Inspire Heavy deck. After this, I round up a Clear Sky Stormcaller for more board control against 1 toughness troops, and a Mystic of the Tranquil Dream over an Air Superiority, as the Mystic is a solid flying blocker with the Sapphire of the Sky gem in it, as well as a good buff target given its high toughness. I then pull a decent duo of troops in a second Quick Strider and a Cloud Titan, which I take over the Buccaneer, which brings me to my last pack. My deck is looking pretty decent, and I decided it would be a great time to rare draft if something really good comes up for my rare. Unfortunately, a Gas Troll drops in and stinks up the pack, and with a disgusted noise, I take the Inner Conflict over another Thunderbird and a Counter Magic, consoling myself that I at least strengthened my deck. I then pick up another Cloud Titan and a second Noble Citizenry, which is fantastic. And a few packs later, I take the Mistborn Wendigo over another Mystic of the Tranquil Dream, as both are used in almost the exact same way, but the Wendigo is far more versatile. I then cap off the draft with a couple cards which are pretty simple picks with no other real options, which again is an indication that my signaling has worked in my favor. I picked Dimid as my champion and proceeded to get a 2-0 in the first round. In the second round, I faced off against a Mono Ruby deck. In the first game, both of us kept each other's aggression relatively in check, but it became obvious that my opponent's deck was chock full of direct damage and combat tricks. My hero power stalled out the game long enough for me to prove why the Mistborn Wendigo was a great pick. The second game had a promising opening hand, with plenty of resources, an Ancestors Chosen, and a Repel. However, I ended up not drawing any troops, or the ancestral spirits that the Chosen put in my deck to stave off the aggression, and I died quickly to some fast Ruby aggression. And now, with my chances to get into the finals going up in flames, I'll kick it over to the in-game commentary. Okay, I get the choice. I've got to draw first, because I want my opponent to be on the play so I can react to the next bigger troop that he plays out. So let's see what we get here. Oh, perfect. I was hoping for that diamond. That's great. Okay, I'm definitely going to keep this. I've got an Inner Conflict. I've got a Buccaneer for tempo. I've got a Wind Whisperer. it's solid enough. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. First turn Savage Raider. Obviously looking to probably rush to my Buccaneer as quickly as possible from here, since he's starting out early. And a counter magic. Okay, well, I've got some good defensive options now. So I'll throw out that Sapphire and skip on over. Unfortunately, everything has a 3 cost. So he's going to get 3 turns to basically do whatever he wants. Hopefully I can recover. He's got a blindingly fast deck. Just, you know, lots of buffs and lots of direct damage. So let's see. Okay, second main. Okay, so he doesn't have another resource. That's great. That's fantastic. So let's see here. Okay, Quick Strider. That's a solid troop. Building up to my 3 resources so I can drop something. Still likely the Buccaneer, but we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't draw another resource. That would be fantastic. And no, okay. Top decked another resource. So he's bringing out a 2. What's he bringing out? Oh, no. Attack first. It's fine. Obviously I don't have anything to do about that. Yep, take the 2. Down to 16. And Ruby Pyromancer. Okay, well that's a perfect target for a Buccaneer, because that gets it back out of the board and makes sure that only things with 3 cost or higher. Radiant Armor is good. 3 cost or higher will now be triggered, or will now trigger its Inspire effect. So Buccaneer out, and see ya to the Ruby Pyromancer, except get that out of here. Get that out of here. And will I block the Savage Raider? Well, we'll see if he draws a resource here. Because if he draws another resource, then... Oh, you lucky top decker. Fair enough. Okay, so what that means is I've got to keep the Buccaneer. I can't block here, because he's got, at the very least, that Ruby Pyromancer in his hand. And I need to keep my Buccaneer in play in order to block the Ruby Pyromancer, or at least threaten to block it. So I pull out a combo trick, or, okay, Arena Brawler too. Well, pretty good. He's obviously got the troops. He's got the troops, and he's pulling running resources, so let's see what we get. Yep, Inner Conflict, that one. Because that's just going to get more nasty with all the buffs he has. So I'm just going to Inner Conflict that. I almost said Inner Peace. I keep calling it Inner Peace. Yep, so I'll just skip off. Obviously, unfortunately, I can't save for counter magic. And I want to save my counter magic for, you know, like one of his regular combat tricks, because he's got like duplicates of a lot of those. So let's see what he does. Again, I have to save my Buccaneer to threaten the Ruby Pyromancer when it inevitably comes out. So just have to take that down to 12, and there's that Ruby Pyromancer. Okay, 4 cards in hand, and now he's drawn 3 running resources. So he's getting some good ones. A Repel. Okay, great. Throw out that Sapphire. And now what I can do is hold off for this turn, because what I can play is a counter magic and a Repel this turn. So hopefully I can draw out some of his cards. Okay, burn. Okay, I'm going to play out a Radiant Armor. I'm going to buff up my Buccaneer. I'll make him a 2/4, because then that means that he's a good blocker on the field too, and I'll be able to kill off that Savage Raider. So hopefully he doesn't have another burn in his hand. Oh no, he's like got no resources. So I survive till next turn. Okay, let's see what he's got. And I can, you know, now I've got a Repel to kill off a troop. Oh, Ruby Lance. He's just, so he's pulled the troops, he's pulled the direct damage, and he's pulled the resources. So he's getting some great aggression out. Obviously, I've got to kill off that Ruby Pyromancer before it can buff up even more. I've seen him have, you know, a bunch of 3 cost cards too, so can't let that survive. Gotta save myself the 2 damage and the Inspire effect. So down to 6. This is grim. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, resource. Good news is that means that I can pull out my Quick Strider, and I've got a counter magic to back it up. So if he tries to kill this off, because this is the troop that I want to protect with that counter magic. The Radiant Armor wouldn't have been much use on a Quick Strider because he's got Swift Strike, so at this point it's just about counter magicking. So obviously he's got 4 cards in hand and 4 unused resources, so he's got to have something. Let's see what it is. There's the Crushing Blow. Okay, well, obviously I've got to counter magic that off. Yep. Get that out of here. So what could he play? I mean, he could still play it. If he had a second Crushing Blow in hand, he'd still have the resources for a second one. So what has he got? Anything? Did I just stave off the aggression? I mean, 3 cards in hand, running... Oh, another Ruby Lance! Well, at least it's counted as being blocked, so... He's used all of his resources, and I've got 6 health. Let's see what we get. Okay, Noble Citizenry. Well, let's drop the Wind Whisper. Zelda! Let's drop the Wind Whisper, and then I'm likely just going to buff that next turn to a 3/4 with my Noble Citizenry. Unfortunately, that means I'm once again going to be taking 2 damage, at least. Hopefully he doesn't have a burn to the ground and draw another resource. What has it got? And, okay, well, not dropping a resource, obviously. I'm not going to block that. I shouldn't say obviously. I can't block it because I've got to mount some sort of defense, because this guy has gotten the buffs, the direct damage, okay, the troops, and the resources. He's pulled everything. And the kitchen sink. So, luckily didn't have a resource. That's great. So now what I'm going to do is... Oh, excellent, my second Noble Citizenry. Okay, so definitely going to buff up this Wind Whisper to a 3/4. Yep. Just waiting for him to pass that priority, so let's go ahead and buff that up. Now, as a 3/4, I'm kind of pinning all of my hopes and dreams on the Wind Whisperer, so I may not block next turn with it. Let's see what he does. Let's see how he plays this. He could just go super aggressive and attack with both. Yep. 3 cards, drew another resource, so now he's at 5. 1 more resource and he gets another hero power. Okay, attacking with... Okay, he's attacking with just that. I can't risk like another Ruby Lance, so I've got to block with my Noble Citizenry. And a Ruby or a... Well, he had it. I made him use it, but, you know, there's nothing I can do, so that kills him off. But again, I couldn't take the risk that he had, you know, like a burn or something, and then could finish off my Wind Whisperer, because I've got to do something here, so, okay, no help. But what I can do is I'm going to Noble Citizenry, because now I have a blocker on the field to block that Lurker. What I'm going to do is buff up my Wind Whisper, and then I'm going to hero power it, and I'm going to attack in, because he can only deal 5 damage on the board, and I'm going to heal 5 here, so I'm going to go up to 9. So even if he has a trick to kill off my Citizenry, I'd still survive even if he drew a resource next turn. So I'm going to attack in, because I want to heal up some life in case he doesn't get an optimal position, because that's his best case scenario. So anything else is good for me, and I'm going to save this resource in my hand. I want to fake like I've got something, so hopefully it makes him a little bit more conservative. And really, I've got enough charges. Okay, Ruby Pyromancer. Well, that means that I'll be blocking next turn. Let's see if he attacks with both. Okay, he's only got 1 card in hand. I've got to block the Lurker. I'll see if he's got something. I'll pay that out. And does he have like a burn or something? No, he doesn't. Okay, called his bluff there. Excellent. Oh, and another resource. Well, that was useless. Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just sit tight, because now, when he attacks in with that Savage Raider, because it has to attack every turn, I'm just going to block with my 5/6 and kill it. So, skip that off, and then we'll see if this deck ever runs out of steam. Let's see what he does. Okay, another Savage Raider, don't care about that. Yeah, so I net gained 2 health that last turn. And now I'm going to kill this off. Yep, I mean, if he's got a Ruby Lance or something, then... oh well. You know, I gotta stop him somewhere. And 6 health with 2 troops, this is where I gotta stop him. So let's see what I pull. Okay. Ooh, that was a good one to pull. Okay, so this is going to be great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attack in, give him lifesteal, and then I'm going to attack in because if he multi-blocks with everything, I'm going to Radiant Armor, because then I'll be a 5/8 and he's only got 6 defense. So he could attempt to trade with everything. I'm going to go for all the marbles here. So attack in, I'll heal 5 at the very least, and let's see if he blocks. Does he do it? Okay, let's go for it. Here we go, Radiant Armor. 5/8. Aha, wipe your troops. Ah, yes! That was a really rough deck, for sure. Whew, close one. After that exciting game, I started out the finals in Game 1 having to mulligan my opening hand to 6 cards, and then I didn't pull any troops in the new cards. I had to keep it though, because dropping to 5 cards is almost suicide in the finals, and I did have resources in my hand. Unfortunately, my defense never materialized, and I ended up getting bowled over by low attack troops. The second game started going well, with both of us having early game board presence, when my opponent revealed a very fortunate draft pick in the Vampire King. Hey, some people get gas trolls, and some people get legendary undead pimps. Them's the breaks. Worse yet, his attack pulls my Mistborn Wendigo out of my hand before I can draw a 5th resource, even with 18 resources in the deck. And the only other option, an Angelic Ascension, ends up being denied to me as I never pull a 2nd Diamond Shard to fulfill the threshold requirement. With low health and no outs, I concede the match. In the end though, I managed to take 2nd place, which netted me 3 booster packs, 17,000 gold, and the 2 rares during draft, which should perform decently on the auction house. Thank you for watching. Hey, do you want a hex closed beta key? Well, take a look at my new giveaway here. And as always, I'm MSB, wishing you good games and good times.